I'd like to say a few words about the current situation nowadays. Let's take first the United States with its election. We have two candidates of the Democratic and Republican Party, which are very interesting personalities. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. For some reason, Donald Trump represent or doesn't represent the Republican establishment, but Hillary Clinton does represent the Democratic establishment. But if we think a little bit about what those parties represent, they are the two sides of the same coin, which is the capitalist system of the most powerful country on earth. And it used to be the Democratic Party that said to represent labor, but that changed, and the Republican Party, the right wing, or the capitalist interest, but they have their followers, because they don't talk about capitalism. They talk about so many subjects, but they don't go to the essential. Now, United States, if we see their statistics, they are not catastrophic as they seems to say it about. If we think about their growth, their indebtedness, is not very different from other advanced countries. And also their growth, if we take 15 years, 30 years, or 200 years, it has been remarkable. Now, the growth of a country that produced $18 trillion, if it's about 2 or 3%, it takes about 20 years to double its product. Most countries are growing at the same pace. There are sometimes countries that for a period of time they grow because they start from a very undeveloped structure. But everything is related, the growth, to the consumption. And consumption is done by, nowadays, by the middle classes, that they have a big gap from they used to call proletarians. I like to call them subaltern workers. Now that gap, it has been increasing in the last 30 years. And since we're living in a system which is capitalist and based on growth and consumption, the largest companies are working to sell to this 1 billion or 1.5 billion peoples. The others, of course, they are products that they consume, but they have less added value. The thing is that this type of growth need resources, and the resources are some that can be replaced, like energy, fossil fuels, and then water. So we may see changes in the future because life is permanently changed, and we may see changes in the future, and well, we don't know what type of changes. As far as today, the system that is global, that is planetary, is the system that was created and accepted. The alternative was the socialist system, which I endorse, but it didn't have much appeal, and for the type of consumption that people like to have, because was that the system, this system or the socialist system is based in equality, is based in rational distribution of the product, collective product, but after a certain point, I talk about the socialist country. The only one was the Soviet Union, the only socialist country that it was established. We might think about other ones, China, but it turns to a capitalist system, economic capitalist system. Vietnam also turned to economic capitalist system. North Korea might be the only one, but is something special and different. And of course we have to think about Cuba, which is changing, and the philosophical idea from the socialist that it was applied for a long time, but is becoming more pragmatic, because unless the whole world is socialist, which didn't happen, no country can live in like Cuba cannot live trying to apply the book, the socialist book, in a world that it is socialism, in a world that is capitalist. So those are two incompatible systems, and the coexistence of the socialist and the capitalist, it was impossible. Any one of those systems has to prevail, and the capitalists prevail. It doesn't mean it's better system, but prevail because there might be many reasons, but the ones who rules in the world, they always talk about the 1%, but are fewer than the 1%, but they cannot do it without the collaboration of another 5-10%, sometimes 20% in different countries. So we're talking about 1.5 billion people. And the others, the so-called subalterns people, they don't have the knowledge and the capacity to rule by themselves. They always are ruled, and I persuade, are seduced by the one who rules, telling them that they will work for them. But history proves us that doesn't happen. Well, in the United States we have two different personalities, but they represent the systems with different styles. The interesting thing is that the narrative of the Republican nominee is very similar to narratives of authoritarian personalities. And since they perceive that they are in problems, which they are, but they are mostly sociological, domestic problems, that the contradictions that they weren't able to solve. But when Donald Trump said, let's make America great, regarding other countries, America is so powerful economically, militarily, technologically. Now, that doesn't mean that it's just within their own population, but the world goes on living with injustice. So that's what socialists like to change, but they cannot, and they are not supported by the great majority, which are the subalterns. So when the Soviet Union collapses or capitulated, that idea for the time being died, and the masses, they expect to have better lives, but they will not. Of course, with the technological advancements, there is no doubt that life today in the 21st century is a lot better than 30 centuries ago. That's of course. And in the last 2 centuries, the technological development allowed to improve the living quality or the standards of living of the great masses as well. That's no point in talking about. But that could have been happened in a socialist planet, in a socialist, global socialism, but didn't happen. So that's the world we have today, and that's what I will try to analyze in future videos, but with statistics. Thank you.